What's going on, man? Pastor Justin back with the Sacred Men YouTube channel. Got a little bit of an update for you today. First off, the video that you're about to watch, it is with Jay Montgomery of Montgomery Companies, a good friend of mine, and he's been on the show before. And we did a 2-hour long podcast. It was long form. We interviewed Jay and got some insights on this idea that we've been talking about of being a builder, consumer, or destroyer. Jay coaches and leads leaders, and so he's got some good insight on that. But unfortunately, the software we're using, the Wi-Fi, we had all kinds of problems. Didn't know we were having those problems. So the video was cutting in and out a little bit, and the audio cut off after the 1 hour mark. So I apologize to you, but instead of not posting a video this week, our goal for the year is to post a video every single Wednesday. One video a week. We want to stay consistent with that. So rather than not posting a video, I'm going to post this video. We're going to kind of chop it up a little bit because there's still some good stuff in there. So I apologize for the quality. I apologize for the, the fact that it's not fluid and just that 2-hour conversation. But I still hope you watch it. I still hope you listen to it. I still hope you enjoy it, and I hope it's a blessing to you. Guys, if you've got ideas or insights or questions that you want me to address about being a builder, a consumer, a destroyer, about anything about manhood, man, you can send them to me at justindean@sacredcitychurch.com, and I will do my best to answer those on the podcast. Man, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, if you give us a like. We're trying to put more effort and more work into these podcasts to help you be better men, virtuous and strong men in a weak and effeminate culture. And so, guys, again, I apologize for kind of the technical screw-ups here, but hopefully you still find some gold in this video. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon. We have been talking about virtue, when we have been talking about this idea of being builders or consumers and destroyers. And I told you in the last video that I'm going to start at least once a month interviewing some people that I think are builders and picking their brains and letting them speak and just getting them up here on the podcast to highlight them and to maybe inspire others and kind of learn, what does it mean? How does a person become a builder, and what does it look like to be a builder, and kind of put some flesh on those bones. So Jay, thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
So before you start asking questions, I want to start, because as I've been watching this, as we started talking about this, I want to hear from you a little bit more behind, like why are you talking about this in the first place? Like when you started thinking about our church and our people and the men and the folks that are watching videos, like why did we land on like this is content we need to cover? Like here's an idea and a framework that I want to start explaining it or sharing.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons that I've kind of landed on this. Number one, we have a 100-year vision at our church that we want to make disciples, plant churches, and renew the city. That we want not just to be in the city and consume. Yeah. And then we teach our kids just to be kind of consumers, and you can consume anywhere. You don't have to be in the Quad Cities to consume, right? I want our folks to have a builder mindset where they're thinking of themselves as like pioneers or as frontiersmen, that they go to a certain place and they land in a certain place, or if they were born in a certain place and they put down roots and they build something that lasts. So of course we want to build our family, but we want to build businesses, and we want to build schools. We want to build an infrastructure. We really want to build a society. Yeah. I'm just honest. We're not happy with the one that we're living in, and we think we can improve it. But that kind of improvement doesn't happen typically just over a decade. It takes a lot longer runway to make a real impact and to change a culture. And so consumers don't change anything. They just eat what's available to them and consume what's available to them. And the mentality of the consumer, get a good job, a good paying job, make sure you got benefits, and then just consume. That's it. Just consume, and hopefully you're putting enough away in your 401k or whatever. So then when you retire, this is kind of the baby boomer mentality. Yep. Then when you retire, now you can do whatever you want, which always means consuming.
Yep.
Even if it's just sitting on the couch and watching TV all day, or if it's golfing every single moment you can possibly golf, or if it's traveling, you don't really think that you have a responsibility back home to your kids still, your adult kids, or to your grandkids. The idea was to retire as early as possible, and then just to consume the rest of your life, and then die and go and be with Jesus. And John Piper challenged a lot of people not to live that lifestyle in one sense, not to go, the goal of life isn't to go pick up seashells on the beach when you retire, and not to waste your life. And so that's going on in my head. I want to build something that lasts, and we want to build, we have this 100-year vision at the church. The second thing that's going on, and these kind of two things are coalescing. The first one would be, I've got a Gen Z kid in my household. I got a few of them actually. But one is 18, about to be 19. And we've raised him to love the Quad Cities, to love his family, to love Jesus, and to figure out how to build something. So he's wanted to be a business owner his whole life, and he's tried out a few fun ideas. But we want to raise him to be a builder, right? And so that's going on. And then the one that coalesces with that is our economy and our society has changed in such a drastic way, and is about to change in even a more drastic way, that, man, it is not a safe place for consumers. It is not a safe place, well, for destroyers. Don't really talk about those. But it seems like the opportunities that still exist for Gen Z and the next generation after them, all the opportunities are going to be gobbled up by builders, because AI, is going to do so much of the menial stuff, the brainless stuff, the paper pushing, the rubber stamping. AI and computers are going to be able to do a lot of those jobs. You're not going to be able to go and just get some mindless degree and then expect to find some high-paying job that's going to be able to support a family. And we know that, it's increasingly, most employers are not paying a family wage these days, where one income earner can support a whole family. And so what happens then? You get this mindless job, and you get squeezed out of the market. Your pay goes down. Now your wife's got to go to work. Now who's going to watch the kids? Who's going to raise the kids? Who's going to educate the kids? It creates a lot of problems. And so raising my own son, who's Gen Z, and then seeing the economy change and our society as a whole change, led me to think through and what we're seeing out in the world, and it just led me to think through this idea of, okay, builders, consumers, and destroyers. And unfortunately, until we start locking up the destroyers, they're always going to be there tearing stuff down that the builders build. But this market of the consumers, which I think is the majority of people in America, in this consumeristic mindset, they are the ones that are really going to be squeezed, and their opportunities for future advancement are going to be limited unless they can grow and to become builders.
Yeah, and I know that the AI is one of the examples that you're using. What's interesting to me about it is as I've started to think more about this, definitionally, like if you're a consumer, like you rely on builders to build things for you to consume, right? And as there's been, I'll call it cultural shifts, as those things have started to shift, and we're starting to see that, like the percentage of consumers or builders like shift, there's less stuff to consume.
Yeah.
Right. And so in a funny way, if you're a consumer, even if you're a really good one, you start to work yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
Like definitionally.
And you're consuming trash. That's the other thing. If you don't
there's less high quality stuff to consume, right? So you gotta.
That's it. If you don't have the right builders, if you don't have the builders, like right now, it's a trope, but it's real. You can hardly find an old-fashioned, Western or an old-fashioned man is the hero show on Netflix. Every single one of them has a female lead who's basically taking the male role. Like she's, not just boss babe, she's G.I. Jane, and she's throwing, an AR over her shoulder and she's knocking out dudes left and right.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, dude. I joke with my wife. I'm like, I just want to watch a good guy kill a bad guy. And I've got to watch this lady, complete fictional reality. I got to watch this happen. And it's just gross, And there's less, examples for men doing men things out there. Now the ladies are doing the men things. And so why we can't even be as good of a consumer as we used to be because there's not good stuff to consume. Every movie is a remake of Marvel. Every movie is, a remake of Disney. Now it's just you throwing in black characters and you're throwing in Indian characters. And of course, let's switch out the man for a woman. And so I think we need to be builders, right? And, some people that would look like going into that industry and writing great scripts and building great movies and storylines and stuff like that. And for some of us, it's just going to be, building a construction company or building a company like you've got or whatever it is in the Quad Cities. But the mindset has to change. And the Gen Zers, many of them, they've woken up to this reality that their father and grandfather's world is gone. And this idea of, going off to Iowa, getting your degree, and then go landing a cushy job at Deere, right? That's probably not going to be true for them. On top of all this, you've got, I know it's been lessened, but you've got immigration and you've got massive immigration and you've got illegal immigration. You've got the H-1B visas. You've got all this kind of stuff that now our sons and daughters aren't just competing with local workers.
Yeah.
They're literally competing with the world,
Yep.
right? And more than likely, they're competing with somebody who would take a lower wage than they would. So this has created some troubling realities in the market and in the world. This Gen Z is waking up to it, and some of them are taking the black pill, which means they are now seeing themselves through a victim mindset. The whole world is set against me, and I'll never achieve. And many of them, not all of them, but many of them are despairing, and they're just throwing themselves.
Despondent,
They're despondent, and they're throwing themselves into video games and online world. And all right, I'll just sit on my hands until universal basic income shows up, right? And I'm gonna live like a bug in a cage and just eat what my masters give me. And if you're a consumer, that might be the future. I know it sounds dystopian, but the majority of the books that I'm reading, talking about AI right now, from insiders and the guys that are writing the code, let's say, they are dystopian. And it is deeply concerning. And it's not something that's coming, it's something that's already here.
Yeah.
And everybody uses AI, except maybe your, boomer dad who can't figure out his iPad. But whether it's just, using it like Google, or whether it's, I pulled up to a drive-through the other day, and the person behind the counter or the window was 100% AI. And it took me a second to figure it out, but she was so polite. Then I was like, oh yeah, this is AI. This is clearly not real. This ain't a real person. So those kind of bottom tier jobs, middle tier jobs are probably going to be disappearing, and that is going to create some kind of mass chaos, which is why, Elon Musk and these others are saying there's going to be some kind of universal basic income to keep the lemmings and to keep these people satisfied, satiated, so they don't riot in the streets.
Yeah. Well, I'll flip it and say I think there's somewhat of a silver lining, and this is something I'm certainly messaging to my own children. Is at the same time that is true. What I do think it does is present like a really unique opportunity for young people, especially, to differentiate themselves much more easily, much more quickly, right? So the ability to stand out amongst your peers, whether it's academically, professionally, early stages of business, I think is easier than it ever has been. Right now, it's easy to become despondent. It's easy to, I guess this is, what we got and we can't do anything about it. So, I'm just going to rot away until, Jesus comes back, right? But
yeah, and that's why, I can see it already. That's why you are a builder, because you see this obstacle as a potential opportunity for people to take advantage of, right? And maximize it. And that's the reality. That is a builder's mindset, right? It really isn't. I know people don't like this illustration, but it's not much different than when Ford created the automobile, and it's going to put a whole lot of carriage makers out of business, right? Stables, all the stuff that went along with raising horses and horse-drawn carriages and all this kind of stuff. And Ford saw this, it's going to do that, but it's going to create opportunities, in other industries. Other industries are going to arise. And so the carriage maker, or even the wheel maker of the carriage, he needed to go, okay, I'm going to be out of a job. How can I use what I already know, my skill set that I already have, and how can I transition to tires or whatever, right? How can I transition to bicycles? How can I, whatever. I already know how to do this. How can I transition and meet the demands of the market and now maximize it, right? And so if you have that builder's mindset, then the difficulty, the obstacle that comes in your way, you don't just throw your hands up and say, oh, we're screwed. You say, no, I know how to do something really well.
Yeah.
How can I shift what I'm doing to meet this and make it into an opportunity?
Yeah. So I think one thing I'd love to hear just more, like when you're explaining these ideas, when you're talking about this, like, who is this for? Is this for young people and you're saying, hey, to be a builder, like this is what needs to shift and or change, or here's what that needs to look like? I would say even with the other categories, is this, hey, to be a good contributor, or hey, you might be more of a destroyer than you actually realize. Like if you're thinking about that in the context of whether it's even just our church or the, like our community.
Yeah. So in one sense, I think this is for everyone. And let me bring it down to the very bottom. Social media and, let's just say our screens, technology and our screens have made us less human in some sense. We struggle with relationships now more than we've ever have in the past. We just are entertained by this, and it's just me and the screen. It's very selfish. It's very self-oriented. So then when human beings are getting into the presence of people, they're almost treating people like that. Like this thing is requiring nothing of me but my attention. That's all it's requiring of me. And so now we start showing up to church just as a consumer. Like I'm not there as a functioning member. I'm not there as a part of the body. I'm not there to ask, brother so-and-so how his day was, how his week was, how his kids are. I'm not there to add value. I'm just there to consume. And then you take this into our personal relationships or our missional community relationships, and we show up as consumers. And you know what? You cannot be a friend to a person if you're just a consumer, right? I'm in this relationship to get something from you.
Yeah.
Like that's a one-way friendship, and anybody that's a builder eventually is going to cut you off and find someone else because they want a mutually beneficial relationship, right? That's how the world works, is I add to your life and then you add to my life, and we're better because we're friends. And so at the very bottom level, I see, kind of this consumeristic, individualistic mindset as destroying human communication, human relationships, and kind of making us all a cog in the machine, right? The big technological machine. The second person that this is for is specifically, I already said, kind of like Gen Zers, young folks just getting out of high school, maybe just getting out of college, and they see the world changing. They're like right on the cusp of like, I got to go get a job. How can I afford a house? Where can I put down roots? And they're trying to figure out, a new landscape.
Yeah.
That old pattern of go to high school, go to college, or go to the military, find that easy job, get married, work for whatever 30 years, and then retire. That pattern, that's just gone. And so it's for those types of people. And then the third type are the people who are maybe my age or around my age, and they followed that pattern, and now they're stuck in the middle of a woke organization, right? Specifically, if you're a white man and you're stuck in the middle of this organization, you know that there's other people that are maybe less qualified than you that are going to get that job ahead of you. They're going to get that final promotion that you're looking for because they meet DEI quotas, right? And I know we're not doing DEI anymore, but they all just changed the language. And so they're in this kind of, in one sense, it might be a well-paying job, but it's this dead-end, mindless job. And I want them to start thinking about being a builder, because you can't hand off your middle management or middle of the road job in Deere. You can't hand that off to your kid. But if you're an accountant or an attorney or an engineer or whatever at Deere, and you create your own thing, you build that, you've already got the knowledge, the expertise, you get those clients, you build that thing, and then you can hand that off to your kids. And so you're putting down roots in the Quad Cities, you're making the city better by being a builder, and you're giving your children more opportunities, right? And it's not just the exact thing, but if you build that business, you're going to need marketers, right? You're going to need everything that you
you've got vendors.
So your kids are going to have different opportunities that you can actually pass off to them. So I think those are the three categories of people that I'm thinking about. And then just even moms and stay-at-home moms, like thinking about being a builder and
or how to raise builders.
How to raise builders.
Right. There's different skill sets. There's a different mindset, right? That's associated with that. So as much as we are, and this channel is designed to teach, train, and equip men, I think a lot of this is also for our wives, right? Coming under that mission to understand, like, what does that look like? What skills and abilities and gifts and mindsets that we need to be cultivating inside of our own children?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's building a productive household.
Yeah.
Right. So back in the day, they would have saw that as, we're raising animals and, we've got chickens, we've got all this kind of stuff, or we're, harvesting whatever and we're going to go sell it. But the household itself is raising productive human beings.
Yeah.
Right. They're raising builders. They're raising people with ingenuity and entrepreneurship, and you're creating avenues for your kids to go, sell the eggs or go, raise the pigs and breed them and do whatever. And now they're creating their own little niche. Well, we can do the same thing today. You don't have to be a homesteader to do that. You can.
Yeah, I'm not raising chickens.
Yeah.
I know some are doing it really well, and it's been really valuable for them.
Yeah. Davenport has a 6 chicken limit. Okay. So we did it for a few years, and my family would eat more eggs per day than the chickens would produce. So it wasn't really beneficial for us. But thank God we got some folks out in the country that do provide us with eggs.
I think as I'm hearing you talk about this, the one thing that I would want to encourage most is, like, when you were talking about group 2, that in so many ways, I think there's so much of, like, young people disenfranchised, that this path that has been talked about, like, by their parents and their grandparents, of, like, they graduate from college, get a steady job, it's 30 to 40 years at an organization, and while that's somewhat, like, gone, or it's certainly much more scarce than it used to be, and I think there's a lot of, like, just discouraged young people, like, and so I think so much of what excites me about, like, this conversation and what you're starting to talk about is giving those young people hope that there is a different path. It looks different. Like, we're going to have to do things differently. It's going to look differently than it did, certainly for our parents, but there is a lot of opportunity in it.
Yeah. If you're willing to embrace the risk, and risk is, John Piper again, I don't know why he keeps coming up, but John Piper had a chapter in one of his books that just said risk is right. Risk is right. To accomplish great things, you've got to take risks. And there's little risk in going to some global company.
Yeah.
It's safe, and you kind of know what you're going to get. But, if you're willing to embrace the risk and push through that risk, the opportunity and the rewards on the other side are a lot greater. Potential of freedom that you can have from that, and return on it is exponential. So I think the younger folks, you're right, the safe path has been shut off to you. But the risky path that has great rewards, that's still out there.
Yeah.
It's still available.
Maybe greater than ever.
Oh, yeah, maybe greater
greater
than
than
I think it's got to be greater than ever because of the internet. Hold on. If you create a widget, okay, and for those who don't know, a widget just means anything, all right? You create a cool belt, you create a cool pair of shoes, you create glasses, you create something, and you're willing, you get some seed money, you throw, $1,000, $10,000, whatever you can get into marketing, you can get 5,000, 50,000, 500,000 eyes on that thing like this through social media, through advertising and social media. And so if you're willing, if you've got production down and you've got all the marketing down and you've got the distribution down, you can make a lot of money. I mean, you couldn't do that in the past. I mean, we had door-to-door salesmen, if you remember that. Literally door-to-door salesmen. And how many widgets can you sell going door-to-door? Well, not as many as by making a video and pushing a button and that thing goes out. Like, you literally can determine, I want to reach 500,000 people. And it tells you, okay, this is how much money you got to do. And you push it out, and you do it. And it's not a secret how even podcasters and Ben Shapiro and all those guys, how they always show up in your feed. They're paying for it. They're paying for it. And they know if I get my stuff out to this many people and they sign up for my thing, it's going to pay for itself. Right? So if you've got a good product, good content, and you get some money for advertising, you can build a thing, man. You can build a business.
Love it. Okay, so we talked why it's important, where the opportunity is. Let's dive into specific mindsets you teach with these, right? So what are the mindsets you've noticed with builders? And I would say even beyond the mindset, what are the practical things that you've done? You were a builder, literally. You also built a church. You physically built a church at one point a couple years ago. What do you notice as you spend time on builders? Like, what are the things that you see differently about them?
Yeah. First off, they take responsibility for everything.
I think that is what it is. So sitting kind of reflecting on this conversation, preparing for your day, I think that was one of the things that was going through my head repeatedly. It's that responsibility. You actually hit it in the sermon last week. It's the difference of what you were dealt, what you had, and you didn't have. And I would say specifically the builders, they spend almost all their time thinking about responsibility, and it's very little on the faults. It's regardless of what you were dealt or what you had and didn't have. Right?
Yeah. It's a fundamental belief about myself and the world, when God made the world, that I have to figure it out, but the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there, no matter how difficult it is, the opportunity is there, but I have to figure it out, and no one's going to help me. Now that's not 100% true, right? My wife's going to help me, my friends are going to help me, whatever. But at the bottom, it's just responsibility. No one's going to help me. It all relies on me and God. It's just, and so I'm not going to wait for a customer to call me or a thing to show up. I'm going to get out there and make it happen. And I'm going to meet obstacles, and they say, no, you're not good enough, you're not whatever. No. Taking that information, I'm going to adjust, and I'm going to push through it. Right? And I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to refuse to be denied. And I'm going to tweak my product, tweak my process, and I'm going to tweak myself. I'm going to learn and change and adapt and grow, and I will adapt and overcome. But no one owes me anything. I've never received a large sum of money from anyone, like a grandparent or my parents, or they didn't pay for my college. They didn't. I had to figure out how to make that happen, right? And You've got to have that. You've got to have that mentality. And I know that like maybe some people, their parents paid for their college. Great, that's an amazing opportunity. I love that. But the builder has got to have the mindset that he takes responsibility. He doesn't. I mean, this is one thing. You just don't take no for an answer. You just don't take no for an answer. Anytime I hear no, I'm kind of like, okay, let me think how I can get around that no. Like, or I'm going to prove you wrong. You don't think it can be done. You don't think this. Okay, I think it can. I'm going to prove you wrong. So there's this. You've got to have a strong will.
Okay.
Because that's, again, what helps you push through the obstacles and the people saying no and the people denying your thing. You have, if you just listen to everybody, you're going to fold right away.
Yeah, there's a tenacity and a perseverance. And I would say at a certain level also like a level of humility in that sometimes when you're met with an obstacle, it isn't necessarily that you need to continue to push through it the exact same way, but I might need to consider what I need to change or do differently in the process, right? That I'm open to understanding if like maybe I need to do that differently.
Yes.
I think one of the, I would say, common traits of people who like somewhat want to be a builder, but are frustrated that it's not happening either with the speed or the ease or with the success that they wanted to, is they'll meet an obstacle and their only answer, the only tool in their proverbial tool belt is to do the same thing harder, right? And this is not a joke about your golf game, mind you. That was actually an honest answer, but to say like, hey, let me evaluate. Let me ask the perspective or insight or input or ask for feedback from somebody who's, from the outside and has a different perspective, or who maybe has gone before me and done it differently, or what do you see?
Yeah, and I think that's every time you meet one of those obstacles, it's a learning opportunity, because it's quite possible you're doing something wrong, or you just suck at something, and you have to kind of do that after action report. Come back and say, okay, what's going wrong? What can I listen to this person? How is he right? What can I take in? And then adjust your plan, right? And so the tenacity stays the same, but maybe it's like, oh man, my marketing is terrible. I need to hire a marketer, right? I need to hire this guy to come do my marketing. And then maybe that's the thing, or I need to hire a bookkeeper, or I need whatever, So a builder isn't omnicompetent. He's not, good at everything. He figures out, I'm going to say it like that. He figures out what he's really good at, and then he delegates everything else. I mean, in the very beginning, you can't delegate anything, right? In the very beginning of this church, I was cleaning toilets and vacuuming floors and straightening chairs and doing all that. But then as you grow, then you say, okay, if I'm doing that, then I'm spending less time for me crafting my sermon. I'm spending less time developing leaders, right? And so I can't do that anymore, because what I'm really good at is preaching the gospel and developing leaders. So I got to hire people for those other things, right? So I think overall that a tenacious mindset of being a learner and constantly willing to adjust your approach to things, have the humility to listen to others, taking advice. And then, but again, at the base of that is this responsibility that if it's not working, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's on me. It's not the economy. It's not my parents. It's not AI or the social media program, social media companies that won't, they won't promote my product. No, it's me. It comes back to me, and I've got to figure out a way to change and to make it happen.
Yeah. I'm going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole here for a second. I think there's an important point in something you just said here, where even when we're trying to do this, it's sort of a reflexive response that says, what do I need to do differently? What do I need to change? What do I need to learn? Right. I think, and again, it's a sort of a product of our current cultural moment, but, and you can call it the modern sense of like, you're perfect just the way you are, like, be true to you, whatever, that has sort of messaged to, everybody over like the last 30 years that it's if there is resistance or an obstacle, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody else, right? And I would say like when you start looking at, I would say like key characteristics or hallmark traits of like good builders, their reflexive response is always to look at themselves first, even if that's like he's wrong and now I've got to figure out how to get what I want, right, by doing it differently. Like their initial gut level like response is always to look at themselves first versus like I blame maybe too strong of a word, right? But to look at that and say like, well, that's them.
Yeah.
Right?
It's being self-reflective and knowing that people receive me a certain way. Maybe it's the way I said it, maybe it's how I said it, whatever it is. And I need to be self-reflective and humble enough to go, okay, I didn't get the response that I wanted. And the only way I can change another person is by changing myself, changing the way I say it, changing my approach to it. And so I have to change if I want to see them change. And again, you're right. That comes from this culture of authenticity. That if I'm just going to be my authentic self, the world will love me and accept me, and I'm going to be the next Justin Bieber or whatever the heck it is. It's like, yeah, nobody wants to know a fake person, but sometimes your authentic self is weird.
Well, I think for most of us, we would say, and it's certainly true of myself, and I know you well enough to know the answer for you, but like my authentic self was pretty immature. It was kind of annoying. Yeah. Like I would, we all start as
my authentic self was a big jerk, for sure. It's like you're a moron. So why don't you just do it my way? Because you're a moron and you're not good at what you're doing. So just get out of my way and let me do it.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, that guy didn't respond well to that.
That's right.
It's surprising. But if I learn how to be less of a jerk and learn how to communicate and show him how what I am doing will actually add value to him and make him better or his organization better, he's a lot more likely to let me do what I want to do or hire me or whatever the thing is.
So I want to dive in. This was something you mentioned in the last episode, and you were talking about what we call or refer to as like the power of proximity, and it's this idea of, show me the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Like I'll show you, your future type thing. Yeah. I think there is a legitimate skill that has to be built that allows you to spend time around really successful people, or whether it's successful, in terms of like worldly terms or just the type of people you want to emulate. It's the pastor you want to be like, or the husband or father you want to be like. I think that is a legitimate skill that has to be built, and I don't think most people do that naturally. I think that's something we have to learn. I think most of us, when we're young and we want to spend time around with somebody that's a little bit older, they're oftentimes more mature than we are. We're more immature, and our immaturity is grating and sometimes frustrating to them, and they don't want to spend time with us, right? So we have to learn, hopefully, we have to mature, and we have to learn how to be able to spend time with them in a way that isn't a life-sucking, burdensome task.
Yes.
Right.
So what you're describing there, that immaturity comes off as consumerism.
Yep.
That I just need 1 hour of your time. I just need 1 hour of your time. And we walk in there and we walk in with our hand out. That's basically what we're doing. We're walking in with our hand out and we're wanting this guy who's got what we want, whether it's family, ministry, business, whatever it is. And just tell me. Instead of walking in there and you like, this guy's got it seems like he's got everything I could possibly want. I couldn't add value to this guy, but there are ways to add value. You can walk in and just say, hey man, I really appreciate what you've done. You don't know it, but whoever it is, but you've blessed my life. And I want to tell you, I'm just thankful to know you. You might come in with, so here's something I did. There was a pastor, and it was probably 25 years ago, who I had benefited from, and it was all online. I was watching his sermons. I was reading his books. I was doing all this stuff. And I just had this thought, you know what? I'm taking from this guy. I'm just, a consumer. And so I was broke at the time, but I remember, I think it was, got him a gift card, and I found the address to the church, and I wrote his name on it, and I wrote him a letter thanking him, and I put like a $25 gift card in the mail and sent it off to him. It might have been an iTunes gift card. I can't even remember what it was, but it was something lame. And I got an email back from him saying, thanks for the gift card. And I gave it to my daughter, and she really loved it, blah, 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 blah,
Wow.
or something like that. And it's just that's what I'm talking about. If you need a mentor, or if you're wanting to meet with somebody who's above where you want to be, try to add value. Don't be a consumer and just like this baby bird that shows up and just says, feed me, mama, right? Thank him, bring him a coffee, bring him, get him a gift. If you're making a widget, bring the widget, give him the widget. One thing I noticed, I've been watching a lot of the Sean Ryan show lately. And every guest that shows up on the Sean Ryan show, he's got a gift for him.
Really?
Oh, yeah, half the time they're SIGs. Yeah, custom-made SIGs. Custom-made SIGs. He slides it off. He's like, I got something for you. And then half the time, the person's like, hey, I got something for you too. Whether it's their book, or whether it's their hoodies, or whether it's whatever it is, their mama made cupcakes. I don't know. But they're bringing something so they're not just consumers.
Yeah.
Because when you enter that meeting, you're going to gain wisdom, right? And you're going to get this guy's time. He's not going to get anything from it. If he's above you, he's not getting anything from it.
Yeah.
Right? So now he might in the future if you blow up and you do something great and he's got a relationship there, but potentially he's getting nothing. So you should walk into that meeting with something. Add value to that conversation. And if it's more of like an informal relationship, you're going golfing with a guy, you're going to go spend coffee with, or it's more a repetitive relationship, you need to ask him how he's doing. You need to, it needs to be a reciprocal relationship. Even though he's above you, you can't just be a time suck for the guy.
Yeah.
And every time he meets with you, he's trying to fix your problems, right? It needs to be mutually beneficial, and a builder wants to do that.
Okay, so could we just rip and just rapid fire? It does not need to be in order. This isn't like a list of steps to follow, but like just things you've stolen, things that you've done. Maybe it can even be things that you've done that didn't work well, right? I certainly have some moments in my life where I'm like, I'm a little embarrassed of how I showed up in that moment. I wish I would have done that differently. But again, I think with so many of these things, sometimes it's just the uber practical, like, just, hey, here's how I did it. Like, this is what I did differently. Right. And like, just rip a couple of those things, like ideas. Like, again, if people are looking, if there's a business owner they want to spend time with, if there's, a husband, father, if there's a mentor, right, et cetera, like just riff through that real quick.
It's when you enter the relationship, I'm entering the room with a tool belt on. That's my mindset. My mentality is I'm entering the room. Every room I'm in there with a tool belt on. And if I've got my tool belt on, that means I'm here to work. And so when I hear him, maybe I'll ask a question. And if I hear anything from him where I can add value, where I can fix something, where I can do something. So it might be, he needs his, he's going to be working on a project at home. I'll come help you. Can I come help you work on that project? And while we're working on that project, I'm going to...
Then we're doing different things. Yeah, then we're having a conversation.
We're having conversation. Yeah. We're going to eat lunch. We're going to do this. But I'm adding value. I'm adding value to him. He might, my snowblower is broken. I got to go drop it off at a thing. Can I go drop that off? Can I take care of that for you? Or, and if you don't know how to fix it, can I go take care of that for you? I'm wanting access, but I'm willing to do something for it. I'm willing to add value for it. And even if he's a CEO, he's still got stupid stuff that he's got to do. He's still got stupid stuff he's got to do. Maybe it's hanging Christmas lights, right? I'll do it for you. I'll help you do it. Maybe it's picking somebody up from the airport. I'm willing to go do that with you.
Yep.
I'll drive you there.
Yeah.
I'll be your chauffeur because I want to rub shoulders with you, hear how you interact with that client you're picking up.
Yep.
It's those kind of practical things. I want to kind of, you can get invited into a room, I feel like, once. But if you don't add value, then a leader is going to start pushing you away from you. You have to earn a spot in that room.
Okay, so one of the things that I think is probably important to call attention to, and I would say this was absolutely true of me in earlier stages of my life, I probably did not appreciate, certainly did not understand, and did necessarily, absolutely did not appreciate how many different things were vying for, like, the leader that I want to spend time, like how many things were vying for their time and their attention. Like how many things on their to-do list were not getting done as a result of like what I was asking. And I think understanding and appreciating that is really important, that when we're asking for their time, that oftentimes comes at the cost of saying no to 2 or 3 other things. I think understanding that is probably one of the most important things for us to do. It should hopefully shape the way that we do it and how we do it. But as you were talking about that a second ago, there was like 2 quotes that were sort of like ringing through my head. One was from John Maxwell, the other is from Craig Rochelle. One says, honor produces access. The other one talks about honoring the leader's agenda. I know one thing that I have done that has been enormously helpful. Like, if I need your time, like, what are you doing? I'm going to go do it with you. Like, you're painting, I'm painting. You're hunting bourbon, I'll hunt bourbon. Like, how do I...
Now, listen, the funny thing is, this is from, that principle is actually derived from the 10 Commandments. Honor your father and mother. And when you break that down, it's all of the leadership structures in the world, right? Honor the emperor, the New Testament says. You honor those who are above you. And you don't show honor to them if you show up constantly just taking.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a biblical principle.
Yeah.
Right? You honor those who are above you, and you honor precedes access. Is that what you said?
Honor produces access.
Honor produces access. It's true. And as a leader, when someone honors you, guess what? You want to give them greater access in the future.
Absolutely.
You want to be around them. And
it's not honoring once. Oftentimes this is, we're doing this, like, you know, in perpetuity. And because I will tell you, most of us have a sense, like, when I know that somebody is only doing something, like, so they can get something, like that feels gross, and we're going to push away from it. Right. But when people do it in a way that is winsome, and genuine,
it's not buying access.
Yeah, it's absolutely not.
But there's just, you just want to be around people like that. You just want to be around people. Hey, I'll buy you a round of golf. I got some stuff to talk to you about my wife or about my kids or whatever. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about. You know, it's like you're blessing someone because you know he's going to bless you. They're going to bless you. And it's just it's a human, it's ordained by God. It's in the natural world. And I think too many people don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know,
one of the other things you were mentioning there, and again, I think this is just like sort of a really practical thing. Oftentimes we are asking for this time or insight or somebody to teach us that they're in a position in life where, like, we don't have much to give them, right? Like, candidly, like in certainly in the business setting, oftentimes I want to learn from somebody. They're making a lot more than I do. So there's very little that I could afford to buy them that they couldn't buy themselves really, really easily. Somebody shared with me once, like, the greatest thing that you can do to, like, honor somebody in that position, like, is just to share with them what you've learned. And so I don't know where I stole it. If I could remember, I would give them credit. But it was sort of this rubric of like reporting back to them to say, hey, here's what I learned. Here's what I implemented. Here's the impact that it had. And I know for me, I certainly, like, when I know that people are doing something with what I'm giving them, when they are taking action with that, those are the people that I get excited to spend time with. Those are people that I want to pour into more. And the exact opposite being true. Like, if I got to tell somebody the same thing 3 times, they're not taking action on any of it, like, that is the quickest way for me to say, like, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Man, once again, if you made it this far, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing to Sacred Men. I really appreciate you guys. We're building a community here. We're gaining some momentum, and I'm really thankful for it. Sorry again, we just had to cut that video off, that our tech was going crazy. Hopefully we got some of those things figured out. We're going to be interviewing someone else next month, and I'm stoked for that one. He's a builder as well. And so, guys, again, like us, subscribe, and shoot some comments down below. And I'd love to chat with you down there. I will see you next week. God bless, and go act like men.